Greetings and salutations, good people. It's your boy Nation, and I am here today with my boy HT Higher Thought, the Light Bulb of Higher Thought, and we have a special guest today, our boy Deshaun from the DW Collection, the DW Projects, and everything extraordinary going on in the D. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity, giving me the time. We're just gonna have a great show, man.
Well, let's hope we're gonna have a great show because we're gonna talk about some wild stuff today. We make it a point that if we're gonna when we bring people on, we want to give them a little heads up because we get into some weird stuff, so we didn't want to freak nobody out. So today we're gonna talk about dreams. What are dreams made of?
Dreams. See, I don't even think this is the weird. This is just this is more of the fun.
Okay, it sounds fun. It's great and everything until you get into what dreams are and people start actually exploring. Like, okay, what are dreams for real? It's, it's surface stuff until you get real with it. And then, you know how we do. We got to go deep on this. So.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about dreams. And when you go to sleep, what happens? I mean, some people say that it's, these chemicals in your brain, they start mixing around, and then you start going through memories, and they mix and match.
Of course, it's the chemicals. It's always the chemicals.
The chemicals do it, man. It's the chemicals, man. So we got these chemicals rolling around in your brain, and they do a bunch of different stuff. But before we get into this, because we have to talk about a different kind of dream real quick, our boy Deshaun is making some moves out here in the D. You got to tell us what the DW Collection, the DW Project is, so we can find out more about what you're doing, man.
For starters, the DW Collection is a formulation of my images and thoughts and dreams. That I figured that, I like these designs. I draw, for starters. So
okay.
I've always been into drawing. And I was just messing around at work one day and formulated a drawing. And I'm like, damn, this would be dope on a shirt. So one of my homies who I was working with at the time, shout out to my boy Keith, kind of taught me the game as far as making clothing. I had him print up the design for me, put it on the shirt, and it came out really dope. And I placed it on my social media, and it just kind of went crazy. So I figured, like, damn, well, let me just try to see if I come up with something else.
I know you.
And something else came up, and something else came up, and I was getting really good feedback on pretty much all my designs to where I was like, damn, I really got a clothing line that I really didn't even think I was going to.
You got by accident.
Yeah, I kind of fell into it.
I like that.
I fell into it. As far as the DW Project, my podcast, shout out to everybody at the Brave Ambition Radio Network, all my producers and network family. It's just a thought of me going through what I've been through in terms of mental health awareness. I've dealt with some anxiety, dealt with some depression, dealt with some grief, and I've never really been the most transparent person until I started consulting and seeking therapy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that with that came a responsibility of being transparent and being in the space. Even if I felt like I wasn't really ready for it, I'm more in the comfort of being transparent about my journey, knowing that others can benefit from, especially a black man, and we're conditioned not to be transparent about our feelings, supposed to just man up, fucking deal with it, and just move on to the next.
Yeah.
And I met Lucretia, who was my producer. You know Lucretia. Shout out to Lucretia. She pitched the idea to me that, I like the way you talk and I like the things that you talk about. I have openness for a podcast on my radio network. And I was a little apprehensive at first, but because, like I said, I'm not really wasn't that transparent. But the first show came about, we put some things together, and when I tell you that it was a weight of bricks lifted off of me after that first episode, I'm like, wow, I really can do this shit.
Well, I've been on your show, so I've seen you do it, and you do it. It comes so naturally from you. So I
appreciate that.
I was inspired. I was like, man, you know what, man, this cat over here doing stuff. You know what? I want to be like him.
I appreciate that, man. And I still, to this day, even hell, right now, I still get nervous because, like I said, it's still a new season and new space for me. Ultimately. But yeah, it's been very therapeutic in regards to helping people and people telling me, you inspire me to go seek therapy, and you inspire me to, want to work on my mental health and prioritize my mental health. So It's been very gratifying. It's been very
Good.
gratifying when I'm trying to take it to different heights as well. So
That's good. That's the goal. That's the goal, is help people do
Yes,
some
sir.
things out here.
Yes, sir.
And that is honestly what we're about. Me and HT over here have been trying to inspire people to think a little bit and look a little deeper into what it is the world is that we're living in and how this life affects us. And so we're gonna wrap it back around to what we're here to talk about. So. Now, we're not talking about the dream of having your own clothing line and your own podcast or whatnot. We're talking about what happens when you knock off at the end of the night, and where does the mind go? So the general thought is that chemicals do it, okay? But I think there's a little bit more to it. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of bit more to it. They always want to put the blame on the chemicals, and the brain is doing this and the brain is doing that, and it's interesting the ways that we try to measure the intangible. You're putting rulers to things you can't see unless it's in your mind. Or is it in your mind? What is the mind when it comes to dreams? Where are these dreams located? As a lot of times they want to refer to the brain, when, to me, personally speaking, I feel like the brain is just more or less your processor. It's a quantum computer in your body. So you're just computing and processing certain things. And so, you might wake up and be like, oh, wow, I remember this, and that while I was asleep. But were you asleep, or were you just awake somewhere else?
Awake somewhere else. Right.
Which one is it? Which world are you in?
Well, now you're getting deep here. Okay, we're talking about
Too soon?
No. You're good. I'm good. I like it. I like going there, but we got to help people stay with us. So let's start with this. When you go to sleep, I've had a number of dreams where, you wake up from the dream and it's real vivid, and you really remember it, and then all of a sudden it starts to fade. Why does that memory that's so, that obviously just happened or just happened over a period of time, fade so quickly? Why do you think that is?
That's a tough one, because it's not I'm going to use the wrong word here.
Okay.
It's not a traditionally lived experience.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's because we're used to taking in information differently, right? We're used to taking in information from our physical reality and what our senses tell us and what our eyes,
It's linear.
usually see. And so when we're in that dream world, we're not standing there in that dream world, or not everybody's lucid dreaming in a state where they're like, okay, I'm going to make sure I remember this, and that. And then you come back to this, world that you wake up in, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, wait a minute, what was that? And you're trying to figure out where that memory is to get to those dreams. How do you map? Where is the map to get to those dreams? What does the GPS say? Why are you being rerouted? Because if you're taking an experience from this world here where we're perceiving this, you know how to get to that for the most part.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, then, Deshaun, what is your take on what dreams actually are?
Well, I have two interpretations of what dreams are actually are to me. My first interpretation is a reflection of self, whether by admission or not.
Okay.
And I think when your brain or your mind or your body is at rest, and you really don't have any control over these thoughts, essentially, when you're dreaming and when you're docile, these are things that hop into your mental in terms of where you may actually be. You don't know how you got there or whatever the case may be, but I know I've had dreams to where I may have been deflective about certain things I was dealing with, and something that was in relation to it popped up in my dream.
So you go with the psychology of it, like it's your brain's way of working out things that happen in your conscious life.
Like, I'll give you an example. My grandmother passing and the grief that I dealt with from that situation. A lot of deflecting of admission of dealing with that haunted me and hindered me. To where when I would fall asleep and dream, she would come into my dreams. There were times where I would wake up and, I'll be in tears or I'd feel a certain type of way, which kind of spurred me to get into therapy anyway, because it was happening pretty often. And I think that was just a reminder and an inkling of, you got some work to do, and you could try to avoid this as much as you want to, but the reflection of where you are right now.
Yeah.
You need to do something about this to get where you need to go.
I feel you on that.
Second interpretation is an extension of reality pending your journey. And I say pending your journey in reference to the decisions that you make. Things that are out of your control that you can't control and how you deal with them. And like you said actually about the rerouting and the GPS, a lot of those decisions that you make and a lot of the movements that you make can either expedite it or it can slow it down to the journey to where you're actually supposed to be.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it.
So those are my two interpretations of what dreams are to me.
I got you. I like that. I come from it from a different point of view. I do believe, I agree with you. I think it is the brain's way of working out things to a certain degree. I believe some of it's that. And you can tell those dreams because there's usually a point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like there's something in it that represents something that you definitely don't want to deal with, and it comes at you, and it keeps coming at you, and it keeps coming at you, and it's usually got a more emotional component to it. You know, like things you're afraid of, or are chasing you or hunting you down, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that. I think we try to put things in boxes, and when we do that, we limit them. In order for us to be able to digest them, and I don't think. I'm a big believer that reality is not as limited as we like to interpret it to be. We try to put it into a box, and it's not. You can't put it in a box. It's limitless.
Absolutely.
So I think the dreams are the same thing, and like you said, it's a extension of reality. I think the mind has the ability to transcend the physical. Okay, and we talk a lot on the show about the higher self or the spirit self or whatever, and that being outside of time. And with that being the case, the mind, which is connected to that higher self, can move to a place that's outside of time and move back and forward on the timeline and see things before they happen, see things, take things that have happened in previous lives or previous times or alternate lives, and then bring them all together into the same mind. So, for instance, I had a dream when I was, I'm going to guess, probably around 12, 13 years old. And my dad was adamant that you'll never go in the military, ever. He's like, don't you ever go in, because he was in the Army and he hated it. And I kept having this dream, and I've had it probably 7 or 8 times, where I met these dudes, and I was in a barracks, and I didn't really realize what it was at the time, but they were all in uniform, and we just kept doing all kinds of exercise and doing all kinds of wild stuff, and I knew them, I knew them well, and it wasn't until I was 20 years old, and I walked into the barracks of my Marine Corps boot camp, and I met every single person who was in that dream, and I knew them by name before I ever met them.
Wow.
And that, to me, is like, okay, that was a profound moment in my life, so I understand why it would make an impact on me, but it made an impact on me years before I ever actually experienced it.
And I do recall when you were on my show as well that we spoke about the impact that the Marines had on you as far as the discipline and what you learned from that. So were you even saying that you had it years before, had the vision years before in the dream, and moving forward to that present point, I think that was probably just an extension of reality of what you needed to get where you need to go. Well,
and that's the thing, is like when you have those types of dreams, there's more than just psychology going on. There's more than the chemicals moving around. You know what I'm saying? It's got more going on, and I think that we have to acknowledge that that's a part of it. And once we do, it changes the game of what happens when you're dreaming and what dreams actually mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially because with a dream like that, you remembered the future.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think about that. That's just like you're remembering the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when this happened, like ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay, but you also have dreams like that, which it was such a minuscule moment. You know what I mean? The dream itself it seemed like it could be like a random moment.
Right.
But the moment itself probably didn't mean anything until you actually went and met them, and then the dream actually meant something that's like, whoa.
Right. It's profound in that moment. Right.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Why did I dream of just that moment?
And that's the thing, is like I get, like I was talking to you about on your show, is like I get what the Marine Corps ultimately meant to me.
But that moment itself.
That moment was the beginning of that journey. And it was like that, I didn't know it was going to be, but it ended up being a turning point in my life. It literally changed the person that I was. So I mean, I get now, being an old man, what it meant. But at the time, I mean, I was just like, wow, this is just weird. And I've had, a number of dreams that are, I don't mean to get on story time, but I'm guessing I was probably 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old. And I had this nightmare that I was fighting like the devil or something in the basement of our house. And I went down in the basement, and then there was like a lake of lava, and the devil came out, and I was trying to fight him, and I couldn't beat him. I was losing. And so I got really upset. And then my dad came downstairs, and together we beat him up and won. And I was like, wow, that was a wild dream. And then the next morning we sat down at the table, and my dad was like, yeah, I had a weird dream about you. You was fighting some dude in a red suit downstairs.
What?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, so when I say
y'all were both having this, that's wild.
Right.
Wow.
Now I haven't had that. Well, I don't know. Maybe I've had dreams like that, and then the other person just didn't say anything. So I wonder.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty deep.
That's different.
Well, I get it. Like I said, we
I've
get into
heard
some
of it
wild
happening.
stuff.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening, but yeah.
Well, I try to remember as many of my dreams as I can. I don't remember them all, but like some of the ones that are really profound, that really kind of hit me, I try to remember those. And I remember that one because it scared me that my dad knew about that dream. And I told him I had the same dream, and he kind of brushed it off. But it was just like it hit me so hard that early that it was like years later I was like, wait a minute, I remember that. I remember having that dream with him, and I remember him acknowledging that, and then it hit me what it meant that we had the same dream and shared a dream together. That is freaking wild to me. And if that happens, then it can't just be psychology, and it can't just be chemicals, right?
It can't be.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be a byproduct of it to make it something physical. You know what I mean? But
at the same time,
it's not. It can't be the cause.
What did you ultimately take away from that? Like, what was the symbolism behind the actual dream to you and your father?
My father, I had a strange relationship with my dad because we had a contentious relationship from time to time because we had very different views about life. He was very much like live quiet, you know what I'm saying? Do what you're supposed to do, work hard, and then, the world will come to you, you know what I'm saying? Eventually. And I was very much like live loud, say the things that nobody wants you to hear, wants you to say. And he was like, one of the biggest arguments we had was in the living room of his house. And we were talking about just, our society and whatnot, and me being so outspoken about what I was doing. And he was like, you keep talking the way you talk, and these people gonna kill you. And I said, there's some things worth dying for. And he just looked at me like, I'm proud of you, but if you don't shut up, you're my son. I don't want you dying because you got a big mouth. But it was just like, I get where he was coming from. He saw, he wanted to protect his son, but he was proud that I could stand up to him because to me, my father was the most powerful man that ever lived. He was just amazing. He was a great dad. He was one of those people that scared the living hell out of you. He scared the hell out of the gangs in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? This the cat that came on the porch, you know what I'm saying, when they were trying to recruit me, racked his shotgun once and said he already in a gang.
Sound like Furious from
Anybody got a problem with that? My pops was nobody to mess with, but he was just like, for me, that dream was like a personification of how powerful I saw him as. And it just sort of really solidified that, he's in my corner even when I'm not awake, you know what I mean? As a kid. So, I mean, I don't know. It was wild, but it's just like that to me verified that this is more than just, chemicals and, psychology working itself out. There's something else going on there, and if there's something else going on there, where the hell were we?
And that is a major question.
You know what I'm saying?
That is a major question because it doesn't have to be, like whereas, the way we think is like a place, right? Like, oh, where is Chicago? Yeah, like what state is that? Like what dimension, like what framework does that sit in? And
how real is it?
And it's got to be very real because it exists.
Yeah.
It exists. So that therefore makes it real. I mean, but to me, what's amazing is the diversity within it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
There's the diversity within it, because there's so many different types of dreams, and there's so many different ways that people dream as well. Like there's people who only dream in black and white.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah,
I've heard of that. I've never dreamt in black and white. Everything is in color to me. But I've heard people say that they only dream in black and white, and I can't even imagine what that's like.
Never heard of it. Never heard.
Yep. Some people only dream in black and white. Some people only have nightmares.
Yeah.
Some people only have premonitions.
Yeah.
Some people don't dream at all, or they don't remember their dreams at all.
Yeah.
There's some people dream of past or alternate lives, I would say, since time is what it is.
Time is. We had that discussion.
Yeah.
We had that discussion in another episode about time. But no, you brought that up. There's actually there was a young man who we talked about it, before on the time episode, where this young man was having dreams. He was like 3-4 years old when it started, and he was 8 when they finally got it done. But he was having dreams of his previous life, and where he was a pilot who actually was crashed during World War II and died, and he was having these night terrors where he was screaming, talking about he was burning in his plane. And he kept talking about the type of plane. He kept describing the type of plane he was in, what the aircraft carrier was that he was on, his co-pilot, his freaking people who were in his air wing or whatever. And he remembered them by name so deeply that when they took him to a reunion about it, he pointed them out and named them before he ever saw them. I mean, before he had ever met them. He just walked up and said, "That's George. That's guy. That's that guy." And it's like, if stuff like that exists, then dreams are not just, like you said, just the chemicals and the psychology. There's something going on that transcends the space and time of our physical reality, and our minds can travel there. And if they can do that dreaming, like you said before, what happens when we lucid dream, when we take control of a dream?
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Like to be able to just take control in that realm. And there's been times where I have been, I guess you could say, conscious that I was dreaming, but it wasn't like I was still observing what was happening. But I've had just about every type of dream. I've had great dreams. I've had bad dreams. I've had dreams of, I guess you would say, alternate realities, dreams of alternate lives, dreams I've had dreams of past events that I had no knowledge of until I learned about it later.
Nice.
One of them, I had a dream, one of the ones that stuck out is I had a dream about, it seemed like I was in ancient Egypt. It's like it just gave me the feel of that, the look of that. And what I saw was like, it was, I would say, amazing.
Okay.
I would say what I saw was amazing. But it was also confusing versus like my point of view of it, because my point of view, it was almost that of I was floating.
Like a third person point of view.
Yeah, almost as if like somebody had a drone camera and they were just observing what was happening. And I had no idea exactly well, I could see what was happening, but I didn't know what the context of it was until later on, where someone was like, "Oh yeah, so there's this you witnessed a ritual or a play that they used to do back in ancient Egypt times when they would do the Osiris and Isis ritual."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." I had no idea that that's what I was seeing. Okay. Like, but it was just, I was like, I've had no knowledge of it before that.
Well, I
had no knowledge of it before that.
That is wild. That is wild.
Yeah, I've had dreams where I would be in parallel or alternate realities where things, in some dreams, things just don't make sense. Right. Or dreams where I would almost kind of like how you had a dream about you knowing all of the people when you were in the Marines, right? So I had dreams where I would know like people who were by name, but our outfits and the way that we dressed was different. The way that society looked was completely different. But it was almost like I knew it would be like it being conscious here.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I know who this person is. I know who that person is. I know their name. I know why we're wearing our shirts like this. Like in that one, the shirts, it almost looked like uniform shirts, like uniform T-shirts, but they all had letters on them instead.
Okay.
It was almost like a uniform, but everybody had their own letters, and that was how we identified with each other. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Okay.
I've had premonitions. Which like, happens a lot, but I keep track of my dreams. I have a dream journal, so as soon as I wake up, I write my dreams out, and that's honestly the best way to be able to remember your dreams.
That's wild.
So out of your dream journal, what would you say the percentage is as far as the dreams that actually manifested into something, to where you are right now?
If I had to put a percentage on it,
Yeah.
probably about 85.
Really?
But it depends on what they are. So like
Right.
a lot of those dreams could have tied in psychologically, right? Where it's like, okay, this dream is more or less about something that I'm going through in my waking life, whether it be a trauma or something that's coming up emotionally, mentally, whatever. It doesn't have to be bad. It could be something good or whatever. But when you're able to decode it and break it down, it's like, oh, okay, this dream was talking about this. This dream was talking about this relationship. This dream was talking about this dynamic, or this dream was bringing up maybe a fear or something that I had, or maybe a change that was coming. And sometimes the revelation comes when that moment happens, and it's like, oh, that's what that dream was about.
Right.
Or sometimes now it's to the point, because I like to decode my dreams often, I'll get a dream and I'll know exactly what to expect.
Okay. I'm not that as efficient. I don't write anything down. I'm a little bit too chaotic for that. I don't know what it is. I know I should. And I just don't. I sort of go with it. I mean, the ones that I remember, I think, are the ones that have the most impact. Like, the ones that repeat. Like I don't watch horror movies. And I know I catch crap for that. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's just a movie. What are you scared of?" I'm like, "Well, because I studied too much and I know too much. So I know some of the stuff that they put in there, they playing with fire. So I don't mess with it. But I don't watch a lot of dreams because I don't like having nightmares. And one of the first nightmares I ever had was about Freddy Krueger. From Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh man, I've had
one about Freddy.
Hey.
Well, because the concept of that dreams could be real, or that something from your dream could kill you, was something that I had always been like, wow, is that real? And then so he scared me. So in my dreams, I fought him, and I beat him. I'm like, okay, I got him.
Oh, so you fought? I just took off. I was not being part of that horror movie. I was gone. I don't think I've ever hit the 40-yard dash that fast in real life. Like in dream life, it had to be a dream for me to run that fast.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So like, I've dreamt about him, and the only like character or group of characters I ever had any real issue with was the Cenobites from Hellraiser. You're the only ones I ever lost to in a dream, and so if I can beat it in a dream, I'm not afraid of it. So when I lost to them, I woke up like terrified, and so I was like, okay, well, that's a problem. So I had to go back and purposely dream about them again, in order to just to beat them. Okay, so then I wouldn't be afraid of them. So like, and all of the dreams happen the same way. This is why I say like the repetitive dream is the one that really gets me, because like I start falling in between, like into this chasm, and there's like these two giant walls on either side of stone, and then in between each of the walls are these myriad of bridges that bridge one side to the other, and they go from as far as you can see that way, as far as you can see that way, as far as you can see up, as far as you can see down. And it's like I'm jumping from each bridge, fighting demons on the way down. And when I get to the bottom, whatever it is that I'm scared of is what shows up. And so when I actually encounter it, then I try to lucid dream and think of whatever it is that I can think of to beat them. And then if I can beat them, everything's golden. If I can't beat them, then the dream recurs over and over again.
So I'm gonna veer a little bit off with that one, because one of the things that stick out to me is when you're fighting in dreams.
Yeah.
Like it's funny to me because it's like, man, when I'm in a dream, Oh, I'm kicking butt. I think Dream Me can beat Bruce Lee in a fight.
Oh,
you know, Dream Me can Bruce Lee. I'm challenging you.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Me
I wouldn't do that.
Dreams. And I just want to train. Don't fight me for real,
Yeah,
Bruce. I don't really need it.
Think of it this way: he was a badass in real life. Can you imagine what his dream self is?
Man,
I mean, come on. His dream self.
I can take it.
Can I ask both of y'all something real quick? I'm in my hosting bag right now. Pardon.
Go for
pardon self. So with that being said, as far as the fighting in the dreams, were these dreams based on personal hurdles that you guys were at in your lives before you had those dreams that may have helped you kind of get over those hurdles?
For me personally, I think it was just fear itself.
Just fear itself.
I despise being afraid. I have a rule in my waking life that if something scares me, I got to do it. So I won't allow, I don't like public speaking. And people say, but you're always, speaking in front of people. You've done sermons. You sang on YouTube. Okay, it's like, yeah, because it scared me. I literally went on YouTube and we were did a YouTube live in the Continuum, and it was like, I'm going to do this thing because it scared me to do it, and so therefore I have to do it. So I actually sang a song live on YouTube because of the fact that I was scared to sing in front of other people, and that's the whole point. So I think for me that those dreams are like a fear of something or fear itself rearing itself in my life and me forcing myself to conquer it.
That's deep. What about you, Kamad?
Well, with the fighting dreams, to me, it depends on the dream. Like a lot of those dreams, I was fighting to protect someone or I was fighting something negative probably. But a lot of times it wasn't necessarily, if they were coming at me, there wasn't really a match. You know what I mean?
They got nothing coming.
You know what I mean? Knock on wood. I don't want to, you know what I mean? But like it's how it would translate. I'm not sure I can say. Because there's been dreams where I've dreamt of family members, right? And it's almost like I had a dream once that a family member was crying upset about something, and then next thing you know, a bunch of these it's almost kind of like a video game, right, where you cross a certain checkpoint and then now all of these little minions come out of nowhere and now you got to fight like 30 people,
right?
And sometimes it's like that, and it's like then I turn into the Bruce Lee and it's like, well, and I do it all. But it's like most of the fighting dreams that I've had were more of defending and protecting other people.
Okay.
Welcome to halftime. Give yourself and your mind a moment to rest. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. And slow, deep breath out through the mouth. Focus only on your breath. Take another slow, deep breath in. And another slow, deep breath out. Feel better? Good. We want to take this moment to thank you for listening and watching this podcast. We hope you take something positive from it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your light bulb moments. We also want to thank one of our biggest sponsors that make this podcast possible, Podcastic. Check them out at podcasticlife.com. Back to the wisdom.
One thing I did want to bring up, and I wanted to go a little deeper on this one, is because we a lot of times on the show we talk about the separation between the three selves: the spirit, the mind, and the body. And I think if we're going to if we're going to do our little boxing, as much as we're going to categorize some of these dreams, I think we would probably have to address that. So I think some of the dreams that we have, like you said, are psychological, which would be the mind trying to work something out. I think some of the fighting dreams we might have might literally be the body saying something to us, like, okay, I need this, or you're being sick, you're sick here, or there's an invader here, or something like that, like you got a bug. And then some of it is the spirit saying, hey, you know what, none of those rules apply, we're going to go wherever we're going to go. So I think if you break them into that categories, if we're going to categorize them, it makes it a little easier to differentiate the types of dreams that we're having versus just, well, they're all, I mean, they could all be anything, but I can usually tell when, well, I won't say tell, but I separate them, like any dream that I have that transcends what the physical laws would be, like when I tell the future, when I can see the future, or I see a parallel reality like you're talking about, those would be the spirit traveling. Anytime the mind is dealing with something, and it's people that I know, familiar circumstances, familiar situations, and they reflect something that's going on in my psyche, then that's the mind. And when it's just general, like something chaotic, like one of the things that I used to have dreams about was like tentacle monsters and all kinds of wild, nightmares about tentacle monsters and all that, and these creatures that have multiple legs and weird stuff going on. And then it wasn't until actually like this year, I think it was, that I started to realize that what those are is my body, because if you go small, you go into the molecular, nothing has arms and legs like we do. Nothing is bipedal. Everything is just tentacles and all kinds of wormy looking things. And I think those are my consciousness traveling into my body and looking at something versus my mind traveling through my psyche, or my spirit traveling somewhere else.
So do you guys ever wonder, okay, when you're dreaming, is like what the process is like spiritually? Like, okay, like, do you get to choose what type of dream you're having? Do you get to say, okay, I'm going to go this far? It's almost like the decisions are being made unconsciously, but not unconsciously. I don't think it's again, we go back to the vibration thing. What are you orienting towards? Like, if you're at a certain vibrational level, and you're at a level where, okay, I can handle something profound, the spirit goes for something profound. Can spirit go too profound?
For what you will not get more than you're ready for, because it will not match your vibration.
Because I've had dreams and I go, okay, all right, what was that? What really was that?
What the hell, man?
I gotta know. And why was this person in this dream? And why were we doing, like, make sense of this? Come on, because just some dreams seem like movies.
Yeah.
And those are like some of the trippier ones. And it's kind of like you're playing a character in a movie, like you actually have like a role and an agenda, and it's like you have a mission to accomplish. And then once you accomplish the mission, boop, blackout.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Is this like some kind of weird dream 007 adventure that we're living? And it's so wild, because some of those dreams, I've had dreams like that, and they translate into real life. And those, for me, are the most profound, but also mind-boggling dreams that I've ever had, because it's like, I cannot make sense of this dream. Like, at all. Like, or I can make sense of it in saying, okay, we know this, and that happened in this dream, and it also translated into the real life events. But it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Like, how is that possibly happening? Did I make the decision to do that, to translate into the waking life? Like, how does that work? I'm being vague on purpose because I don't want to
ID people. The names have been redacted to protect the innocent and the guilty.
I mean. So I'll explain. And we can cut this if need be. Whatever, we can discuss. But I had a dream that it started off like I was parachuting down. It felt like I was parachuting down. Like, and I've never parachuted before, but that's what it felt like. And I'm realizing, like, okay, I'm parachuting down, like I'm floating down into this car, and I float through the car and fall into and sit in the driver's seat. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. But I'm like looking around, and I'm like, okay, I see some cones over here, I see a truck over there, and then I look forward and I see a car stopped, and I'm about to hit the car, and I'm like, oh, and then it blacks out. So I'm like, oh man, like Pac-Man, you lost a life. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like a video game, and then it started back over. I was like, did I just respawn? So the dream started right back over immediately from the same spot. Floated back down, parachuted into the car, and I'm in the driver's seat, and I'm like, and I remember saying, I was like, oh, I know what to do, because I remember that car sitting in front of me, so I just stopped the car. Once I stopped the car, that was it. Dream was over. Fast forward, this is maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks later. I'm talking to a friend of mine, and they're like, hey, did I tell you I almost got into a car accident? I said, no, what happened? I don't know. I was coming up off of the freeway, and I guess I was coming up too fast. I didn't have anywhere to go. There was traffic cones by, and then there was a truck on the other side of me, and I didn't have anywhere else to go. And then there was a car in front of me, and I thought I was about to hit it, and the car just stopped by itself.
Again, like I said.
Listen. When I say I just kind of stood there with my mouth. Oh, I said, what happened? I dreamt that. Like, I actually dreamt that, and it's like, okay, did I do that?
Well, that's what I mean when I say when you're talking about the spirit travels.
So, but okay,
and it's not bound by time.
But if I did that, why did I do that?
Because say you didn't want your friend to have an accident.
Why did I have to remember that? Whose choice is that to make?
Yours.
Whose choice is that to make?
Yours.
Is it?
Yes. Remember, we talked about this before. Like, the higher self does not care about your mundane life. It says, okay, this would cause a vibration in my spirit that I don't want, so that's not going to happen. Okay.
But now I'm affecting someone else's life.
Yep. That's how it goes.
See,
and who knows how bad or good that could have went. If I'm able to choose that, there's a lot of other instances that I would have chosen
that wouldn't affect you the way it was supposed to affect you.
I've seen a lot. But what were you going to say, Deshaun?
See, I don't really think that. Well, to me, I don't think any of this happens in vain either. I think certain interpretations may be a little more lengthier than others, but I think that whether they're wacky dreams, profound dreams, whatever the case may be, I think there's some interpretation behind each and every dream that you have. Okay. Whether you can translate it or decipher it in that moment, I don't know. But I know for me personally, the dreams that I can remember for the most part have all put me on a path to being basically where I'm at right now, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally.
I dig it.
And yeah, I don't think any of it happens in vain, like I said, and I think just the magnitude of what the actual dream is may take you back a little bit, like, why did I just have this fucking dream? Like, for what fucking reason? But I think once you get through the tape of it, it may translate into something that, like your friend, for instance, when was the last time you talked to her before, talked to your friend prior to that friend calling you? Or letting you know about
me and that friend, we talk often. So it wasn't out of the norm for us to talk. It was just, I mean, I think around maybe that point in time, even still now, we talk maybe once a week, if not every 2 weeks. Okay.
And that was the very next conversation that y'all had as far as the accident that almost occurred?
I don't think it was the very next conversation that we had, but it was brought up because I think from what I remember, they were like, oh wait, did I tell you that this happened? Because I was like, nah, wait, I don't remember that conversation.
And I think it's like the little intricate trinkets as well. Like, I forgot what I called you for. Yeah. Like, damn, I called you for something, but I couldn't remember what I called you for. It'll come to me, but then it'll never come. But then you'll get that phone call that, yeah, I almost got into an accident. Then you follow up with the dream that, damn, I had a dream that somebody.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, it was. To them, I could see why it wouldn't have been the first thing for them to tell me, because it's like, okay, well, nothing happened. It was just a weird moment where the car shut off, and stopped itself. All right, that's odd. You know what I mean? That's like one of the moments, like, okay, that's odd, but okay, and you keep it moving. You know, it's not necessarily something you got to bring up to everybody you speak to. Hey, man, I was coming off the freeway, and it's a random story.
Absolutely.
But they were like, oh, like, did I tell you I almost got into an accident the other day? I'm like, nah. And then they told the story. I was like, you just spoke back my dream to me.
That's wild.
I'm still baffled. But yeah. Still.
Okay.
That's wild.
For me, it doesn't baffle me. I get it. I get why it happened, because it's like in the movie Constantine, one of the things he tells his woman when he's, like, if you watch the movie Constantine was dope. Keanu Reeves, it was dope. But like in the movie, he tells her, once you see, you can't unsee. You know what I'm saying? Once you open yourself up to it, you see them and they see you. So it's like when you start to, go on this journey where you're trying to, raise your vibration so that you can understand higher vibration events. You raise your vibration so that you can have a more harmonic relationship with the rest of the universe. Once you start to do that, then doors open for you. You know what I'm saying? So like once you realize, okay, that I am as much spirit as I am flesh, then you start to have that connection between spirit and flesh be more profound and more direct. So then the things that the spirit experiences, which are outside of time, which are multiple dimensions, which are the ability to travel and be anywhere at any time and experience anything at any time, becomes more profound and easier for the physical to interpret. So then the brain starts to go, okay, well, I understand. I can have this energy flow through me and understand what it means. I can translate it into something, the pictures that the brain can understand. So I think what's in that particular instance, what you're looking at is the spirit was journeying and wanted to go, no, I don't want that. I don't want to have that occur and, have this friend die or be injured or whatever else. I don't want that reality. So it cut it off and said, nope, I'm not doing that. And then, the brain said, okay, well, this event happened because the spirit interpreted, the spirit went through change. So the brain said, okay, well, let's translate into something, images that, we understand. And it literally translated into the event that happened. And then your brain, gave it to you as a dream. So, I mean, that's my interpretation of it. But like, I think that you cannot untie from the vibrational frequency that you're at. So however you're vibrating, whatever level you're vibrating at is the level that you're going to have as far as your experiences go. So if you're stuck in the mundane where everything is just, ones and twos and black and white and the world is all physical, well, then you're not going to have those type of experiences. You're not going to see that stuff, or you're going to dismiss it, or you're going to forget it. But when you raise your vibration, you're going to have more of those, and it's going to be much more profound.
Now, I know I mentioned something about, none of this happens in vain or anything like that, but do you guys believe, or do you guys at one point have regimens to where you would try to prevent having certain dreams or nightmares, like not eating after a certain time or not drinking before bed, or do you feel like those factors kind of affect where those dreams may take you as well?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that's the chemical stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's chemical stuff. I don't say that there's not, that eating something before bed ain't going to affect you, but
right.
I don't think that's all it is.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I would echo that.
Yeah. I don't think it's all it is either. So,
well, I mean, we like I said, I look at the way the reality is not just physical.
Facts.
So,
Facts.
I mean, we can't just lock everything. You can't just say, okay, well, in this category, there's all kinds of spirit, but over here, it's just strictly physical. Nothing else happens. And we like to do that where we contradict ourselves, where we say, okay, over here, there's all this spiritual stuff going on. There's all this higher vibrational stuff going on. But over here, there's nothing but, the ones and twos of math and, the physical reality is all there is and all that. And I think once we acknowledge that higher vibrational self, that spirit of self, it infiltrates or is a part of every part of our lives, then when you start talking about dreams, it becomes clear there's a spiritual component to that.
Absolutely.
Something else is going on.
I don't know, the dreams with the physical and the spiritual components combined together is like that's a lot, man.
Yeah,
that's a lot. It's almost kind of like if you want to bring in the spiritual and connect it to the physical, dreams is one of the best connectors, it seems like.
I dig that. But I mean, think of it this way though. If you learn on top of all that understanding to also lucid dream, where you say, okay, you force yourself to realize in the dream that I am dreaming. And that means that I understand that I am outside of the physical bounds of reality. And then you say, okay, I'm going to do a thing.
But that's mentally wild.
Yeah.
So now you get the lucid dreaming. You get the astral traveling, which is a thing.
That's different. That's different, though.
I'm speaking in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right. The astral traveling, and then you also get the, I guess, in both spaces, you also get the sleep paralysis moments.
Oh my God, that sucks.
That
sucks, man.
Are like, because there's so many different explanations for it. And I feel like they're all right. I think they're all right. I think there is probably a stage in the process of going to sleep or waking up where you're in the in between.
Yeah.
And your body, because at some point when you're falling asleep, your body it shuts down physically, right? It turns off the part
non-essentials.
Non-essential. So, but it also makes it so that you're not flopping around and moving when you're dreaming, so that you're not doing that. And I feel like your body may be in that state while you are awake, and now you can't move, and that is terrifying.
Yeah.
So now, of course, you're gonna think something terrible is happening, or you could go with the traditional belief of the old hag, as they call it.
Oh,
where it sits on your chest, and that one is wild, and it's so many different other explanations for it. But sleep paralysis is just not fun in general.
Not at all,
dude. The Y-Files. One of plug to AJ over at the Y-Files, because that's like my favorite show on YouTube, for the record. AJ and the Y-Files did this episode about the dark people, or the I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically everyone has seen one of these people in a dream or in that state in between dreaming, and then that being paralyzed them, so they can't move, but they can see the person moving in the room. They can feel them, they can hear them. Sometimes there's conversation, but they know they can't move, and this person is sort of drifting in around different areas of the room, and they're the dark ones or something like that. And there's a whole episode on that if you want to check that out.
What if you are the dark ones?
Ooh, that's interesting. I like that. But
it's another facet of you, and that's part of why you can't move. You're somewhat paralyzed because it's like seeing yourself.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
To piggyback off of that, you own to something, because I think every time I've had an instance of sleep paralysis, I was kind of in a inhibited dark place.
Yeah,
in my life, to where I may have been the dark one. I may have been the dark one.
The shadow coming out the play.
That's self-awareness right there.
Yeah,
that's self-awareness, because most people do not want to admit I'm not perfect. Are you saying that I'm not the perfect person that I pretend to be to everybody else?
Oh yeah, I wasn't taking accountability at all during that period. Nah, it ain't me.
Wow.
Whatever the dark forces is, but it ain't me.
So
it wasn't me.
So to continue on into the dark forces, and I'm going to use this phrase loosely, which I probably shouldn't, but to be spiritually attacked in the dream world. Have you experienced that, or thought you have? Like, what is that like to you guys, or how do you rationalize that? If you rationalize it, how do you
see? I was trying not to bring this up.
Oh, I want to bring it up. I'm not.
Of course, you're gonna bring it up.
I'm not holding it back.
So, real quick. There is a what's the best way to put this? An entity, we'll call it, that is not friendly towards me. Okay. It has been, I told you guys about the story about my dad when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Mm-hmm. That entity came back around 11 to 12 years old and made some offers, which I refused, and has made it abundantly clear that its intent is to kill me at some point. I have had multiple battles with this thing, and I can always tell when it's that thing versus just a regular nightmare or something like that, because it's very different. It never directly attacks me. It'll, like, for instance,
sounds like it's afraid of you.
It is, It is so far, okay, which I like.
That's what
I'm
that
good with
sounds
that.
like.
But it definitely, I can always tell, like, because as soon as I get into a dream where I know it's this thing, I immediately go into lucid dreaming. I can immediately go, I'm in control. I know what's happening. I realize I'm dreaming the moment it shows up. And the last one that I had was, and I've had this one numerous times, where I'm in the skyscraper of some kind. It's abandoned, and there's no furniture of any kind. It's just the shell of a building. And so I'm standing in the middle of a floor with nobody there, and I look around, and this thing steps from behind a pillar and has no mouth, and it looks at me. And, I acknowledge, yeah, I know it's you. And it's like, yeah, it's me. And then whatever it is I'm afraid of, zombies or whatever, millions of them just start pouring out of doorways coming at me. And the battle is on at that point, and it's the thing is trying to overwhelm me repeatedly. And this thing has been like, at one point I knew a name. I've purposely forgotten the name because I don't want to call that name or bring the name, but I know what this thing is. So when I say, like, when you say, have you been attacked? Yes. And yes, I know what this is. I know generally why it's after me. Because it wants me to be a thing that I have chosen not to be. I tell people all the time, I like being this really, I love humanity. I'm this really good guy. I try to be most of the time, not always good, but I at least try to be a decent human being most of the time. But I know what I could have been if I went dark. If I had given into what the pressures were when I was younger and gone that darker, more evil path.
So would you say that it's another facet of you trying to gain more power?
No, it's not me. I know it's not me. And that's the thing. I know.
So it's a being out. It's almost kind of like, hey man, come join the squad.
Yes.
Recruitment,
it's a thing that I know is not of me, because I've had those dreams when it's like I talk to myself, when I'm like, okay, you are the darker half or of me or whatever, and I can see the familiarity. This thing is foreign, you know what I mean? It's sort of like when, I don't know, like, I guess the hardest way, it's really difficult to explain, but it's like when you taste iron in your mouth. It's not supposed to be there. It's you feel off.
It's like an intrusive thought, but in your dreams.
It's more like it's just wrong. You know what I mean? You don't belong in this reality. You don't belong here. You are corruption. You are something ugly and broken. And I can feel that. That's why I said when I have the dream, I know it's him. Every single time. I know it. Because it's like, okay, felt that, look around, boom, he steps behind the pillar. Okay, here we go. And I know I know this is going to be a fight. I know it's going to be a thing. So I know that it's not me in this situation. So I know what this attack is about, and I know what to do when it comes up. But so to answer your question, yes, I have been attacked in that space more than once.
What about you, Deshaun?
Absolutely. I've had instances of spiritual warfare where when I was asleep, there'll be almost like a tug of war of, I know you're better than this, but this is where you at right now, and this is where you probably need to be right now. And I think that was in the height of my anxiety and my depression, where I was still trying to figure me out or recreate me, and I was in and out of dark spaces, and I was kind of, in the dark about a lot of shit. And I think that's where the opportunity saw itself to figure, well, he's in the space of vulnerability. Let me pull up and see what type of time he on.
Yeah.
Let me drop these little trinkets on him and see if he catches the bait and shit like that. So yeah, a lot of those would translate into dreams of darkness, and some of them be dreams of light. And there would just be that constant tug of war of what side of the fence to be on until I figured this shit out for me.
Yeah.
And once I figured it out, it started to kind of delve off and not really pull up as often, if at all.
Yeah.
So
I feel you on that.
So yeah, it was just an instance of me figuring me out. And, not just being vulnerable to what was entertaining me more so than what I was entertaining of it. Right.
Well, and he usually shows up when I'm in the pit.
Yeah.
When I'm in that depression pit.
And I was going to ask, where were you at personally in terms of, was it a common place where he would always pull up, or would it just be completely random regardless of where you at in your life?
It's mostly random, but like when I call my depression going in the pit, where there is no bottom, there is no, it's a dark place and you don't want to be there, but it's comforting to be there at the same time.
Understood. It's familiarity.
Yeah, familiarity. So I've had that battle a long time too, so I understand where you're coming from on that. But it's like sometimes when I'm in the pit, okay, he shows up, and sometimes when things are just perfect, when things are just going well for me, he shows up to be like, can I, screw this up for you? Do you want them to be better? Can I tempt you on this way? Can I do this way? Can I scare you into not taking this next step? You know what I mean? So it's like, and sometimes it's just, I'm just here to fuck with you. I'm just here to fuck with you.
I call those moments heat checks.
Yeah.
When you're in the process of elevating, there are going to be constant reminders of heat checks of, are you really going to stand thoroughly on where you're trying to get to? Or can I persuade you to jump back into the old ways that I know that you're accustomed to? So those heat checks, they show up periodically when you're in the process of elevating, in the process of trying to prosper. There's that little tap on the shoulder, like, hey, bro, remember me?
Hey, we can handle this like some gentlemen, and we can get into some gangster shit.
I was here for you when nobody else was. When you was in the pits. So shit can really get deep with that. So
yeah, I feel you on
definitely.
that.
Man, that's heavy. That's heavy. Because I've experienced somewhat of both of those. I've experienced other forms of spiritual attacks too in dreams. Most weren't successful.
It's hard.
That doesn't mean that it's easy. No, it is definitely hard.
Absolutely.
Or you even get. There are some things. It's interesting because there's a lot of archetypes that a lot of people know of and that you'll describe, and sometimes they'll make themselves known in the dream world. Like even I hear some people that they'll. I don't want to go too far into this topic, but some people are like, yeah, I've been attacked by a succubus or succubi in their dream. Like it's like, okay, whoa, wait, that's.
I just think you need to get down. That's what's wrong.
Yeah, like, whoa, all right.
Skipped a couple sessions there. That's what's going on.
Or dreams of their family members attacking them, like almost like their family members would be possessed in their dream and attacking them.
Something familiar.
Yeah, they would use something familiar and attack you with it, or like it's there's so many ways, and it's just like, wow, like dude, it gets deep out here.
Now about the family member, after that type of dream, would you have any type of issue with that family member after the fact? Like, was that any indication that person might have had some secret smoke for you or something?
Secret smoke.
Now, I've heard, I haven't had specific, now it wasn't me specifically that had a dream where a family member like attacked me in that way. But I have had dreams of family members or friends, whoever. It could just be someone that I know who would act in an extremely negative way. Almost in a way to kind of attack me, but they knew they couldn't like finish the job in a way. It would just almost be like a moment to scare me. It's like, oh, okay, well, wait a minute, what's going on with that? Because I know, that person isn't normally like that or whatever. And then maybe later on, I'll have an encounter with that person and they will be in that energy.
See?
And I'm like, that was almost kind of a warning. Like, they're not really in the best space.
I smell a little smoke in here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, it's the dream world is wild, man.
Shit can be wicked, man.
Yeah. Or even the like I know you touched on it earlier with the past loved ones showing up in dreams like that, and talking to you, and that also translating. Like it's. I know someone who had a dream and they saw their mother come back. They were trying to come back. I don't think that they were able to speak the message, but they kept trying to come back and like tell them that something was wrong, and come to find out they were buried in the wrong plot.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Buried in the wrong spot. So yeah, it dreams like it gets deep, man. It gets deep out here in the dream world.
Almost makes you question what your reality really is and how much of it is physical and how much is something else.
Yeah, because it's got to all be connected somehow. And what are the connectors? What are the chains that's holding it in place? Or do you fall asleep in the same world you wake up in?
That's a good question.
Because
I think yes. I think yes, but I think it's the world is just a lot bigger than we know. There's a lot more to it.
yeah, I would say so. So we're coming up on time. We got a lot in this one.
It's fire, man.
We got a lot in this one.
We got a little deep on this one.
Yeah, we got a little deep. I hope y'all got some wisdom out of this.
Wait, people's listening to this? I forgot.
Deshaun, you got any parting words for our listeners here?
Yeah, stay the script. Stick to the script. I mean, a lot of these instances of obstacles that you may that you may deem as obstacles may just be heat checks as far as you getting over the hurdle.
Yeah.
And, sometimes we kind of trick ourselves out of our own spot, making matters more of an issue than what they actually are based on what the magnitude of that is. So, I mean, just let things play themselves out and everything just kind of fall itself into place if you can get out of your own way to get to that place.
I dig that.
Also, I bear gifts, fellas.
I love gifts.
All right.
Is it Christmas?
Hey, it's Christmas today.
Couple pieces from my clothing line. Shout out to you guys for having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity.
I got to show this off.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I get apparel?
Yeah.
I was just saying I needed some wardrobe changes.
Where we at? Over here.
Unapologetically Detroit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Those are two signature designs from my clothing line. So just a token of my appreciation, you guys having me on. I appreciate
that, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you.
Really? No, thank you.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yes, sir.
I got the luxury apparel though. See, I'm luxurious.
Come on, I'm gonna spend a block on you, man. I got one for you too.
No, hey, I was happy with that. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got the card and everything.
Yep, flyer, all my contact information
official.
on there.
Talk about official.
We've been woke.
Yep.
I've been woke. I like that.
Yep. So just shout out to you guys. My clothing line, DW Collection. Follow me on Instagram, _DW Collection _LLC. Website is thedwbrand.com. The DW Project Podcast. I'm having a great time doing it. Follow me on Facebook, the DW Project. Everything separate. Instagram, the_DW Project together. And thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it,
man. Thank you.
It's a fire conversation.
Yeah, it was.
We're gonna have to have you back so we can get into some wild stuff. We get into some deep stuff over here.
Oh no, I'm watered down right now, man. Just reading the room, just filling the room out. But I get on some bullshit too. Don't worry about it.
We're gonna definitely do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so what's your words of wisdom, HT? Let's get this.
I would say if our dream lives and our real lives are somehow connected, why not live your real life as if it's your dream life?
What if this was a dream, though?
Live it.
I dig it.
Live it.
Live it, or it's gonna live you.
Hey.
That's fine. I like that, man.
I look at it this way. I tell everybody the same thing. Live life on purpose, and it doesn't matter if you're awake or you're asleep.
Oh.
Do the damn thing.
Yeah. Because how would you know?
Exactly.
How would you know?
Exactly.
Dope, man.
Well, I guess that does it for us here in Lessons in Deeper Wisdom.
Deeper wisdom.
Wisdom. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And we will catch you on the next episode of LDW. Think higher and follow the light bulbs. Peace.